13th Commission meeting to order. Commissioner Kipley, would you lead us to the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
First thing on our agenda is ordinance 115, amend the first reading of our Jake brake ordinance, or our engine brake ordinance.
It's compression release brakes. There you go. So the motion would read to approve first reading with amendment, removing brand name references.
I'll move it.
Second. Moved by Sutton, second by Fishback. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Okay, so can any individual out in the country say that they're going down a hill or making turns to go on another highway, can they ask for a Jake brake or a sign?
My understanding, the ordinance, the Jake brake will only be where it's posted.
Okay,
Compression
can they
brake,
ask-
Compression brake.
We call it compression brake.
Okay.
Compression brake.
Can they ask for a sign, can you as a farmer, say you're by a hill, and there's a road going this way, like 21. You know, you go a mile, within a mile, one goes west, one goes east. Can that farmer put a sign up to stop it?
I don't think he can put it up, but he can request that one be put up, and if it's justified, I don't know who determines that or what criteria they use, but they can request that a section of road be posted as non-compression brake use.
And then the choice is made by the commission?
That, I don't know who approves it. This is all uncharted waters, so I don't know.
Can
But
we
Dirk
maybe,
may know.
Can we ask Dirk that? He's on the agenda for...
This is just first reading,
This
right?
is just first
This is
reading
first
anyway,
reading.
yeah.
And I think Leo's here, but I don't know if he had comments or not.
You too?
Is that what you're here about?
Well, yeah, if you lived where I did, you'd
Yeah.
you definitely want to take break,
Okay, and that's the question that's being asked.
you know?
Aren't you in the state highway?
Yeah, but, well, in county, 4th of 11,
See, that's why we're passing this, is right now without
Yeah, I know,
this,
without a
the
place.
state can't place it without our
But Nancy had a
permission.
question, who decides where it's placed at? I'll
well,
have to ask Dirk when he
Yeah.
comes in.
in a good, when the railroad track was, the 5-mile speed did it there. That's where they Jake brake. They started at my place, all the way to the railroad
Have you
track.
talked to Dirk about it?
Yeah, and it's fixed now, so it isn't so bad, but there's still some really noisy ones,
Yeah, I know.
really noisy.
I can hear him from my place.
And
So
the
I-
terminology is compression brake, hydraulic brake, and some muffler type thing. Jake brake is a trademark of another company that cannot be used. So that's why we're talking compression brake, and so if the word slips out, Jake brake, which it has the
Jake
tendency
probably
to
gets
do.
paid every time we say it.
Yeah. So who came up with this ordinance? I mean, who presented it?
Dirk.
Dirk did.
I think it's out of, other counties have it, so I think you just use the verbiage the way I understand it.
And I had a couple taxpayers calling me about, right by the beef plant on 281. That's
Mhm.
where they're having some issues with all the traffic.
So that's how we got to this point?
That's one of them. I don't
Okay.
know if there was others or...
Okay. I just was wondering, because I got questions asked and I didn't know the answers, so.
But I think we should be very open that we don't want to restrict it in areas where it's needed. I mean, they
Yeah.
provide a real big benefit to our farmers, and it's only in specific areas that we pinpoint, and there should be, like you said, a good approval method, whether it be through Dirk or through us, that we go ahead and use this only where needed.
Great, and that's the concern, you know, is it gonna be over the whole county, or is it
Only we're posted.
and only when necessary for whatever
Now, it says
reason?
here, areas of prohibition. The prohibition set forth herein shall apply to any public roads or highways in Brown County and shall be designated as such by signage as approved by the Brown County Board of Commissioners.
So the commission is the one that's gonna,
Ultimately decide.
yeah, they're the ones that are gonna make the decision. Okay, got it, thank you.
Yeah, that is worded a little funny. I can see how people get it confused.
Yeah,
And shall be designed. Maybe it should be that are posted.
might be a concern.
Do
Okay,
you think that needs to be changed?
I think you might want to be looked at that.
Chris, would you review that and see if you think that.
Yeah, I think Dirk just got it from the county, yeah, absolutely.
The fourth paragraph.
Okay, Al, $5.
Al, it is, there's the bucket, right there.
All right.
The fourth paragraph
You don't
where
have
it says
change, you
and,
put a
I
20
think
in.
maybe that's where we're thinking it needs to be, and that will be, okay. Oh, wait,
So,
You're not
thank
the
you
first.
for, but first reading, we can do that
You're
on
not
second,
the
right?
first one,
Yep.
Al, don't feel
Okay,
bad.
so, do you need any changes, or?
No, and as long as you're gonna take a look at that and see the wording, I feel comfortable. And I think I got my questions answered.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is that what you guys are discussing now, is the Jake break?
Yeah.
compression break.
Right.
Compression brake, we can't.
Jake is a patented thing.
I wanted to make sure.
Are you looking for comments on that at all, or not?
It wouldn't hurt.
On
to-
the Jake
This
break?
is the first reading.
Okay. I guess I just thought it was a good time to, I knew you were gonna talk about it. And I'm not sure what your goals are with that, but I just wanted to, make sure it wasn't gonna be widespread. I don't know if you're just thinking right around the town edges or what. And then the other difference is there is a deal where some brakes are muffled and some are not. Would you distinguish between the two of those? Some places it says no unmuffled brake, Jake brakes. Because there's a huge difference. I've got a 99 semi that is really loud, and then my two new ones are when I use a Jake brake, is way quieter. So that might be something to keep in mind too. If you do it, we might say no
If
unmuffled.
it's real quieter, nobody's gonna know.
That's true too. I mean, they really probably wouldn't. But some of the signs now are starting to say no unmuffled engine brakes.
Are they?
Because there's such a difference between the two.
That might be a concern to through the signage quickly.
So, anyway.
There's so many different terms, this dynamic brake and Jake brake and
Yeah, there's a lot
compression
of-
brake and hydraulic brake. I mean, there's about 5 or 8 different terms you could use.
Well, the signs say engine braking usually.
A lot of them do, but like I said, I have noticed some of them now are starting to say unmuffled, which that way the people that are quiet could still use them. I mean, like you said, you probably could use them and you probably won't get in trouble, but you wouldn't have to be worried about being illegal then.
And wasn't there,
Under
yeah,
definitions,
yeah.
it says, releases that compression and creates an excessively loud noise. So if it doesn't create an excessively loud noise, it
You
wouldn't
probably
fly.
wouldn't get in
Right,
trouble, but
right.
I just have noticed that that's what some of the signs are doing now. And I guess the only other point I'd like to do is just hope it doesn't get very far out of town because it is a rural community and they say that the engine brakes, the truckers tell me, makes the braking a lot safer too, so.
Saves your brakes.
It saves your brakes and I've been told it's safer. I'm not sure why or if it is, but just wanted to make my point being heard that as a rural.
That's not our plan to put putting them around the county.
Good point. Thank
Okay,
you.
that's all I wanted to do.
Well, the other thing is we start putting them up all over, who's gonna police it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it's
becomes
also
an
that,
issue
and there's
that
really
way.
no necessary reason to put them out in the country. But
So,
I do know like now if this bean plant comes in, there'll be more trucks coming in that edge of town to haul beans there. And so, I don't know if that's an area you're thinking about or not,
I
but,
was thinking about it south on 281, that's where that's.
oh. But that's where they got a lot of truck traffic though.
Just in the first.
Yeah.
The
No.
residential
No,
area on
and
281
marked
is one of the
by-
areas of
with
complaint.
I
Right
figured
there
there was
where you
probably
turn.
some
But they-
complaints
except
in
the
certain
sign.
areas.
I haven't heard
downtown.
anything about by RDO or being plant yet.
Okay.
But it has to be
Is
marked
there
by
any way
sign.
of putting it to where
It can be
they can't
anywhere
be
in the
used
county. That's the whole
in
purpose of it.
the dark
It's
or
the
after
openness of the
sunset or
county, but it's
something?
limited by the sign.
If it's used during the day, does it really hurt anybody?
Sure, you're talking night.
Well, that's
Well,
what
and
it's
water
supposed to be.
usually
has the
those
two-
plant hours, I don't know if it's gonna change with the
It can be-
soybean
it
plant,
can
but
be
a lot
any
of times
town.
weaker hours aren't.
Put it
they're
on
done
house.
shutting off at 8 anyway.
In the town of Westport.
So that'd be the only other thing, if
They
you
were
could
concerned
consider
about that.
keeping it to only from 10 PM till 6 AM, or find a way to put the hours in there, So you ain't breaking people's sleep, because I know 281, they probably run all night, but if you could do it after dark or something.
Well, thanks for the comments. Well, we have some other areas we're looking at with it too, so we can
All
get
right.
those.
Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you.
thanks, Al.
Have a good one.
Yep. Next time on the agenda, we
Thanks for
have,
the pie.
we have Michael with the Aberdeen Development Corporation for an update. Good morning. Hi.
Thanks, guys, appreciate having a few minutes this morning. Just want to bring you up to date on a couple of things. I'm trying to do this on a more regular basis, but I think I had mentioned to some of you either here or just in passing as we've seen each other around town that the Development Corporation has engaged a couple of different outside entities to try to get us what we call leads. We need more leads to make things happen, and what we've been seeing around the state is if we felt that if we didn't go down this road, that it seemed like everything just happened to be ending up in the southeastern part of the state, because you've got obviously the two interstates that intersect down there, and then for some reason everybody seems to want to be in Sioux Falls. So we went through and we hired specifically this company out of Iowa. Unfortunately, there are no companies in South Dakota that do this. And they went through quite a long process, and they identified and really looked at the city and identified what we should really focus on and what we could be successful in possibly recruiting here over the course of time. So, and they did that based on a number of different factors. One is how our city's set up, some of our infrastructure positives, some of our infrastructure challenges. The big one being the water thing continues to be a really big challenge for us, and it's going to be. So we need to be very targeted and very, have a good plan on what we're trying to bring in here, because we don't need to be spending time focusing on heavy water users, because we can't take them only within the city, and even that is becoming somewhat of a challenge with the success of the beef plant and also with the incoming AGP plant. So we're limited there, and then we also looked at what type of jobs average pay we wanted to be bringing in, and put all that together, and they came back with 4 key areas. I didn't find any of them surprising. I doubt you guys will either. But they came back with a focus on value-added agricultural logistics. That is a little bit different than anything we've ever focused on in before. And they came back with that because we have, of course, AgTegra here, and we have the AGP plant coming in. And when you look around the state, Aberdeen with our regional ethanol plants as well, kind of becoming the hub area for value-added ag. So along with that, there needs to come some logistical support opportunities, and that's something that we're lacking in. We don't have a lot of that existing here. When the logistical support needs to happen for those entities, they need to come in from far distances. So now that we've gotten to the point where we have enough of those industries here, there's an opportunity to possibly get one of those logistical support companies to actually locate here, which would be really nice. Of course, the third...
Logistical support, Mike, are you talking like technology or what?
It can be technology, but a lot of them are going to be wholesale type
Okay.
entities that are going to be in support of those businesses, or that could possibly be wholesaling byproducts produced by those entities, or they take the byproducts and turn them into some other product, and then they wholesale them out on the market in another, within another product form.
Gotcha.
So the third one, pretty obvious, manufacturing. I mean, we're kind of built on that. We've specifically targeted the manufacturing to be, if somebody showed up tomorrow that wanted to hire 300 people, it'd be a challenge to find 300 people. We probably wouldn't turn them away by any means, but our focus is more on that 50 to 100 type employer. And then the fourth one would be financial services and franchising. There's some secondary market financing. We've had some success in doing that here, and some other opportunities there. There's a new kind of emerging thing called intangible assets, which is, I had to learn about that. It's somewhat complex to understand it, but there is an opportunity where that would fit here in Aberdeen as well. So those, they're working on those. We've had some initial interest right out of the gate. I can tell you that some of the things that you guys have done in terms of taxation incentives, et cetera, are very appealing. They get people to pay attention that otherwise may not pay attention. And of course, there's a lot of companies out there, especially when you start recruiting from, you know, the southeast, the northeast, et cetera. They're not super familiar with South Dakota, and then when you throw out the name Aberdeen, they don't know anything about it at all. But the more they learn about it, and when we share information, they do become excited. So we continue to appreciate that. The challenging part is we don't have a crystal ball. We have no idea when and if these things will ever be successful. I just like to remind everybody that, you know, AGP showed up here in 2001 and didn't come here until 2015. So sometimes it takes a little time. And when you build these relationships like we are now, you know, you ultimately may not end up being successful in the recruitment of the company today or next year or even 2 or 3 years, but you get your name out there, so when something does happen, you're in the forefront, you're in front of them, and they know that, hey, there's interest and there's a possibility, and we can, you know, be aggressive, and this city entity will be aggressive with us. The other thing that we are a part of too, because we didn't want to be limited, we are part of a group called the Community Venture Network, which is, they have meetings, and they kind of work like a, this is a really bad example. Well, it's the only good example that I can think of. But I'm assuming everybody's seen the show Shark Tank. Okay, so this entity, Tom, you never seen Shark Tank?
Neither did I.
Neither have I.
Okay, all right. Well,
I'm with you, Mike.
okay.
I'm following you.
All right.
We're supposed to be working here. We just don't have time.
2 of the 5, okay? Essentially, yeah. So what happens is businesses come in, and there's cities that are there. We're one of the cities, and they tell you about their company. These people are either looking to relocate their business, looking for a second, third, fourth, fifth location for their business, etc. And they come in and they talk a little bit about their company, and they share some information on a high level, and then we get that information, and then we are able to engage. We can choose which ones we want to engage. Sometimes after they present, we're like, no, that's not going to work. But we do, for the most part, engage with the majority of them and also try to gauge their interest. And we specifically belong to this particular network because what this network focuses on is they focus in on companies who are generally located in really large communities where it's become extraordinarily expensive to operate. It's very challenging to hire people. They come at such a higher rate, and it's just there's just a lot of additional expenses there. So they're looking essentially to pull out of their community. And we're going to another one here in April. We've gone to a couple, and we've gotten some pretty good traction with a couple of the companies. They are very interested in our market. Just for an example, the companies who are presenting at the next one, 3 are involved in food production. And when I say food production, I don't want anybody to get excited. We're not killing chickens or turkeys or anything that's going to, you know, cause any smell issues or anything. It's usually light type food production. Like when I say food production, that includes, you know, bird seed and making granola bars and different things like that. So it's more food grade, edible, just kind of put it together in a package and box it and send it out type entities. There's one technology company, one retail product production company, one manufacturing company, which would be a very light manufacturer, not a heavy manufacturer, and 2 service product companies. And all of them in this particular time, as they send out their initial information, are looking, some of them even identify that they're looking for a small rural community, which is traditionally, you know, right up our alley, which is why we've chosen to be part of this group. So we've been very active in it over the last 6 months. We look forward to some of those things that can come forward out of this group. But I just want to let you guys know kind of what we're trying to focus in on.
What's
where we're at.
what's the employment in Aberdeen and Brown County? Is the employment rate real low now? We have any workers left, or?
So we benchmark ourselves against the rest of the state, and then we benchmark ourselves against any state that touches South Dakota
Right.
and initially borders. We're actually about right in the middle in South Dakota. And so are there workers? Yes. Are they far and few between? Yes. But that's no different than anybody else.
To build it, they'll come, is that what you're saying?
That's essentially what it is. So what we've really focused in on, and what the Smart Solutions Group, which is the company from Iowa, that's the name of the company we hired, they specifically really looked at and analyzed, okay, what does it get, what is going to get somebody to relocate from one community to another in terms of a job? What is that number? And I'm not going to blurt that out loud because we're being taped, and I don't want all of my competitors in the state to know what that number is, because we paid for it, and if they want it, they're going to have to pay for it. But we are very comfortable with what they came back with, and when I read off the four key areas, all of those focuses fit within that average annual salary.
How about housing?
Housing, we're actually, thanks to some entities here in town, specifically Happy, we are way ahead of the game.
Seems like we've had a lot of apartments built the last 2 years, too.
We are, and I think they continue to fill. If they didn't, they wouldn't keep building.
Exactly.
But they continue to fill, and that's been a blessing for our community. And you know, everything kind of has to go hand in hand. You got to have some housing to fit some people in, but you got to have some jobs to get the people to relocate.
Exactly.
And if you can get all of that working relatively well at the same time, then you're able to see a string of success. And I think we're probably a pretty good example where we've had a pretty good run. So we're going to try to do everything we can to do our part to keep that run moving forward.
Very good.
Okay, thanks guys.
Thanks, Mike.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Thanks, Mike, appreciate it. Next item on the agenda would be courthouse security and personnel.
All out there.
Morning, Mark.
Morning. Hey, Leo.
Bye, Leo.
Hey, Leo. Morning.
Morning, Sheriff.
How's everybody? You
Good,
were laughing,
you?
so
Great.
that was good.
Not about you, though.
Yeah, why not?
See how much humor we have here.
So what do you got for us this morning?
Well, I thought that we should sit down and I think Judge Porter's not gonna make it, right? Chris?
Today,
Okay, he was gonna be here too, because he had some questions on where we're at with it, so I thought I'd let you guys know and maybe see if we can set a date. We wanna get everything secured. So actually where we're at, we got done interviews, done backgrounds, we have one more interview tomorrow. And we're gonna try to get that done, and then try to get the people hired for it. When we do that, of course, the people we pick are probably gonna have to give 2 weeks from where they're at. And then there'll be some training for a couple weeks, so we need to look at a date that I think we need to be kind of positive on the day we want us to set it. That's gonna be working for us. I think Paul's gonna have stuff done, will be done this week, with all the wiring. And then Judy's got plans for the pop machines and I don't know when the handicap door.
I'm waiting to get that quote this week, so hopefully I'll have it by next Tuesday.
So, that's the time frame we're looking at, and I don't know, we're looking at probably middle of April, maybe a little after that. I mean, I know they want it done quicker, but we've had to deal with some other issues with personnel stuff that we have to fulfill. You know, that's kind of a little bit of more of a priority at this point, but we're coming along and going through the app, so I don't know how. I wish the judge would be here because I want him to, you know, be like, okay, well, that would probably work for us. And we're trying to get done as fast as we can, but when there's only so much you can do in a day, and we got to line up, you know.
How's the application process for certified, non-certified? Has there been adequate applications in to review even, or?
Well, it's been tough. I can say that. And we got some good people that are already here too, you know, but that's something after tomorrow we can sit down and maybe have a couple of you and have a meeting and go through who we're looking at and how we want to do it.
Are you looking at 2 certified?
Two certified and one non-certified, but we also talked about part-time in between that would come in, fill an hour here, hour there or something, you know, for lunch, or like to have it early in the morning, start at 7 or 7:30, and then make sure everything's secure throughout. And then do the same thing from 5 to 5:30, make sure everything, you know, somebody drops anything off or something happens. But it's all in the works for us because it's a new ball game, and we're going to have, you know, questions and concerns, which that's why I've got the committee here, so we can address that.
And the door will be locked here. The only entrance would
Will
be
be the south end.
the south entrance. Okay.
That's what we were looking at.
Sounds good.
This is on where?
Well, that brings up last week's vote on, I think originally it was planned to be on the second floor. Judges had some concerns with it, wanted it on the first floor. I think it was voted on to move it to the first floor. My personal opinion is, I don't think it needs to be voted on, but if you want to vote on it, go ahead and do it. I think the commission's already approved the sheriff to handle the security and hire gave essentially the budget to hire. So I think he can do it where he wants to do it, but if you want to vote on it and be on the first floor, I think that's
We
fine
have to vote
too.
on it, on the hiring of them anyway.
You did it last week.
Yeah.
You can do it again, it's up to you.
Let's just not vote on it, as long as we've already given the sheriff the directive to locate the security, let him
It's part of his
follow through.
personnel.
Yeah.
You know, and my guess is if something comes up where there's an expense where they have to, I don't know, remodel or something, or lock a door and spend some money, or spend some money on the handicap accessible door, the sheriff probably comes to you and requests that, and that gets approved, but,
I think he said we'll have that in a week or so.
so maybe when that time comes,
Good.
maybe there's a decision made at that point that first floor is not the best place to do it because we have to spend a bunch of money on a handicap accessible door. I don't know, but I think at this point, I don't think it needs to be voted on, but that's up to you guys.
Yeah, and that's why we're here, so anybody has any suggestions or anything, you know, and the committee.
Judges are okay with where they're at now with what's going to be taking place, and,
My understanding is that's...
What do you mean by that?
well, I mean, is this the firm deal? I mean, is this where we're going to be now, this is what's taking place until we get changed again, or is this what's going to happen?
Well, I can tell you what the judges want. I mean, they're happy with everything so far. Again, I chat with Judge Porter about it because I think he's been tasked with that by the presiding judge. They didn't love it on the second floor, and I think I can't remember if it was discussed, the reasons why, but essentially it's a small area. They have juvenile court there.
Juvenile court, and it gets real crowded up there.
And then they had talked about wanting it on the first floor, and I don't think anyone has a problem with that, but I think ultimately it's up to the sheriff how the best way he can secure the facility. So that's where it's at. I think the judges want it on the first floor. I think last week it was discussed that that's mainly because it secures that whole area, and it also secures people that are coming in for probation court services. And I think that's why the judges wanted it. But again, like I said, I think that's up to the sheriff where it goes. And if he needs any guidance, he can certainly come ask you folks.
Well, I think the county's bending over backwards to try to accommodate these folks. Appreciate the jobs they do, but that's going to create serious complications for us too, as far as moving offices around that we have that will be completely disconnected now that we do it on the first floor. So I hope they give us a little leeway, noticing that complete inconvenience it's going to be for the county trying to move those offices where they need to be. So yeah, I know you guys got a tough job.
I agree. I don't think we have much choice, though.
And one thing I'd mention, if it ends up being an office needs to be moved, I think that's certainly something that comes to the commission for approval.
Well, safety is really important, and I understand why we're doing this. It's just, it takes, like you said, time. fill those positions.
And money.
And a lot of money.
And money.
Yeah,
And that money's gotta come from somewhere.
yep.
Thank you guys, appreciate all the
Thank
work you're
you.
putting into this.
Anything
Yeah,
to
it's been a
add?
lot of work.
So we're hoping mid-April? Mid to late April, is that what you?
Yes,
Okay.
We'll know more by Friday. After interview and stuff, hopefully by Friday or next week. And I'm on for the sheriff's discuss personnel.
We can
The
get-
sheriff's office, I like to go in that session to talk about personnel issues.
Okay, I entertain a motion to go into exec for personnel for sheriff's office.
Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Hanson. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are in exec. No action as a result of exec. It was Tom Schmidt and Sheriff Milbrand. Next item on the agenda, we have Mr. Severson with the IT department to give us an update on the payroll interface.
Morning, Paul.
Morning. Busy day, huh? We got a few things to go over. First off, I think we just need to maybe explain the difference between HR, payroll, and accounting. I think that's where we're running into some questions. Basically, HR's function is, as you know, basically to take care of the employee problems and get their timesheets in order and that type of stuff. And once it comes from there, once the timesheets are done, approved by department heads, they're going to go into payroll. And all payroll is concerned with is how many hours you put in, how much you get paid per hour, what benefits come out, and then at the end of that, payroll's done, and then we move into accounting, which is where it gets split into which budget, which account it comes out of. So I think once we understand that, it makes a lot more sense. I've downloaded the employee file from Encode for RAM. First thing we need to do is, I'm putting that in shape, we'll get that to them today. They have to build the employee file in their program so we can start testing the actual time cards going in. We'll have that done this week. So it should be straightforward. We have to add a couple things into Sundial, such as we have the blood draws, the coroner, and those that are kind of a voucher system. They come in as a voucher, but they come out of payroll because they're on the salary schedule. We'll build the details sheet, and I've talked to Kathy at the Sheriff's Office, will take care of the nurses. Penny at the State's Attorney takes care of the blood draws. I think Cliff will take care of the coroner, and then the weed board and the P&Z board will be taken care of by Chris and Scott. So, and the guards will be taken care of by the Sheriff's Department, which those all come in a voucher format. And they're pretty basically in the salary schedule, defined rate. So it's just a matter of how many meetings they went to or how many, blood draws they did for that pay period, and that'll take care of that. And then we're going to add the tables to keep the employee information in Sundial. It's currently in the Encode payroll, since we'll bypass that payroll. When I talk to every Encode and to RAM and everyone else, it's not going to work to have two payroll systems running. It's kind of double entry for no reason. So that way HR will just put it into Sundial. That's where the interface to RAM out will come, then RAM's information back will come to Sundial, then we'll do the interface to Encode right from there. So Sundial is going to be the pivot point for all of this. I think that kind of brings us up to speed as far as where we're at. I don't see an issue. Question came up is who is going to do RAM? RAM's ready to do, they can prepare the ACH and any checks for payroll. Then it'll come to the auditor for approval and sent to the bank for payment. But they'll do all that in the payroll process. I don't know if that was ever decided, but it's part of the payroll process. They won't actually touch the account. They'll prepare it in the format for whatever bank we're using. So the auditor's office will get the file, and then basically like they're doing in Encode now, they'll take the ACH and approve it and send it to the bank for payment. So, and then on the premiums, I guess it's all on how that gets handled. We'll have to discuss that a little bit. The money will be deducted at payroll time, but some of them are paid out, I think
taxes are paid quarterly, and some are monthly, some are bi-weekly. So, I mean, the money's there, whether it's a voucher as any other vendor, or if it's part of the payroll process, we can go either way. It's all kind of what works best for the auditor, I guess.
And Cliff will be balancing the voucher to the invoice?
If that's what we need to do. What do you mean balancing the voucher to the invoice?
Well, anytime there's an employee quits or leaves and it affects the billing.
Right.
And that has to be tracked.
Well, the tracking of what's deducted from paychecks will come from the interface with RAM. And then if the billing's different because an employee quit or not,
That needs to be documented.
Yeah, but that's just, you got the data from the payroll saying
But
that
I'm
month
not,
is paid.
the auditor's office isn't supposed to do that.
Okay,
That was Erin's job, right? Everything Erin's doing now, whoever's doing it
that
will
was the
keep
way it is?
doing it?
Yeah. That was one of the questions.
Okay,
So Cliff will take care of that?
and I still need the one from,
Because the way I understand, some of those, depending on when they started, when they quit, are never going to balance on the monthly bills.
that's why we need the documentation
So
before we...
that all comes with the payroll. I mean, when it comes in the payroll, we can get that reported anytime in Sundial. We'll just create it. So basically you need a report of everything that's deducted for, let's say, let's use Dearborn, the life insurance. Everything was deducted from everyone's check.
But all we need is the, the discrepancy, the why of it every month,
Okay,
like we have been doing for years.
and I'll have to look at that and see
That'd be
what
like
it
for
is.
fractions and everything that you have.
Yeah.
We're talking about that. Because
Right.
last time you have a fraction differential between the actual payroll and the 941 or the
It's usually,
940.
that's the cents,
Yeah.
right.
And if the larger your payroll, the larger your fraction.
No, with Dearborn, it's just, it was 3 cent a rounding,
Mhm.
and then there was the document, I don't know what I
Are
did.
you back to
with
that 421 or whatever it is again? Is that what you're discussing?
Go ahead, I'll find it.
That's just something we're
But
going to
that
have to
was-
look at,
so,
because
you
I
know,
don't know,
You're gonna
have
have
to
fractions.
see how they're
on
doing it now, what's documented.
People coming and going
Yeah.
to
It happens.
the rates.
Yeah.
So then, Cliff would then enter this into Sundial. What are we
Right.
talking for time frame? Did anybody ever come up with a time frame, what it's gonna take him?
This is what we need.
We won't know until...
I mean,
Yeah, just-
as far as entering what in the Sundial,
You should be able to do that.
somebody has to
Okay.
make the entry, I understand, from
Yeah,
Sundial
but
over
this
to
is the one
info.
we still don't have.
No, that's all, that'll be an
That'll be
interface.
automatic.
That'll be an interface. Basically, when it comes from Sundial goes to Encode, it's a matter of splitting, because like, let's take Gary's salary, for
So-
instance, his is split between commission and
We've
HR
written
budget,
60,000.
which is an accounting function, not a payroll
Why don't
function.
we just
So
break
when
it
it comes
up and
back,
have it?
his will get split when it goes into
I don't
Encode
understand
between
that.
the two
That's-
budgets at 50%.
Okay.
So that's the interface that'll go into Encode, but that's
Understand.
a written interface that's gonna go automatically. I think the only thing we have to look at is these premiums are, we're $4 off on the life insurance at a month. The X amount's been deducted, we have X amount being deducted from the checks, from the employees for their, if one quits in a month and then, so if it's off a little bit, that's,
And why would it be off?
depends on their billing cycle, I suppose. If their billing cycle meets
From the company itself?
from the company when the billing cycle
So who needs to
hits
write it off?
our
Is it
budget.
the company or is it us?
I would guess it should balance by the end of the year, I would guess fairly close. I don't know, I haven't seen those numbers, so, but we'll have to
See,
look
I
at
don't
that.
understand where this is coming.
Because basically, the way I would look at it is you're gonna have X amount deducted for life insurance, if
Mhm.
we're talking about Dearborn. That's gonna stay in the fund, or it's not gonna get paid out till the bill comes. And when you get the bill, you're gonna pay that as a voucher for whatever amount it is.
How long has this one been on here? Since when?
What one?
This one, this discrepancy that you're talking about.
Well, that's a prior example.
Yeah, but
So the explanation is it
See.
because employee X quit in the middle of the month and that's why it's off? That's the explanation?
okay.
Or somebody turned 65 and the rate changed.
Okay, so the explanation is an employee
And
change.
so Cliff will be telling Dearborn all of this and keeping track of those records.
Well, yeah, because that's part of
That's part of it.
HR,
Yeah.
as far as,
See,
And do
Pay
it
raise and
balance
stuff.
out in the long run then, is what I'm wondering?
I would think it
After
should
a
be
year?
fairly close. I guess I have not been involved in that, so that I couldn't answer without looking at it.
And that's minor, okay, thank you.
You know, because the questions that were brought to me were that, you know, mainly was the splits at the end. Well, that's not payroll, that's accounting.
Mhm.
And that's the interface coming back to Encode, not going to RAM. So, I really don't see any issue. The detail of this premium stuff, we're gonna have to just sit down and figure out what needs to be done there, I guess, between HR, the auditor, and us, and, because that still would be a accounting function and not a payroll function. So, I would
But
say,
you're outsourcing the accounting portion. All we're doing
Just
is
no
writing.
more outsourcing the payroll.
It's payroll, not the
Payroll.
accounting.
Payroll
Accounting
basically
is-
is, I work this many hours, I get paid this much, I have this many benefits coming out, here's my paycheck. Everything beyond that, what accounts it comes out of is accounting.
Yeah.
And that'll be on the backside coming back. 'Cause at no time does payroll figure out what
They're not doing-
account, payroll is basically one big voucher divided into different multi-departments.
Right. And if there's a discrepancy between the billing and what's being paid out, somebody needs to know what that discrepancy is.
Right.
That'll be Cliff.
That'll be
That'll be on our side, that's not part, that's
That's not
accounting on our end, not
Payroll
payroll.
has nothing to do with that.
So, that's
Okay.
what I came up to kind of clear that up, so we have that definite
Okay.
line between HR, payroll, and
They're
accounting.
just doing payroll, period.
That's it.
They do whatever we tell them.
Yeah, they'll do whatever we tell them, I mean, if
Yeah.
we want them to do the accounting, I'm sure they're gonna charge us more,
I'm sure they
but,
charge us.
you know, so that's, I just kinda wanted to bring you up to speed on that, so we can kind of, I think we, you know, these other things like this premium and stuff, we just need to sit down and go through it between the offices and sort out what we need to do, and I don't see a real issue with any of it, so.
Has Cliff been over the HR now yet?
I have not, I have a,
She's talking too much.
yeah, and I've got a meeting with him after I'm done here, so.
Okay.
But we will have all the sundial stuff updated this week, and I'll have once I get the employee file sent to RAM today, they'll get all the names and all that stuff in, and then we can start sending them test files of our past payrolls, and then we can do the comparison and see where we're at as far as accuracy or what we need to change, or, so with them, I've got all the file layouts, so it's not going to
What's
be
our
hard.
target date for payroll?
I would say we want to be live by April 1st, by that first pay period in April.
That'll be good?
I mean, that's, you know, it's definitely doable unless we run into some major issues, but the payroll side, it's pretty simple. Here's the hours, here's the rate, here's all the information for each employee, and here's your check.
So when they have a step increase, will that automatically
Cliff will put it in and then
Put it
go
in.
over with the updated file at the next pay period, whenever it goes into effect. So all that, once it's in Sundial, it'll automatically go to RAM on the next upload. And then it'll come back that way. So then with Encode, once we get the test done with RAM, then we can pull a test into Encode to get it into the AP and into the GL. And then, like I said, we'll have to sit down and look over these premiums and how that needs to be addressed in whatever manner it needs to be, but it shouldn't be a problem. So,
Sounds
and
good.
if there's any questions, that's kind of, that, get some of these questions answered today and keep this moving forward.
Sounds like you're on top of it.
We're good.
So, okay, thank you.
Thank
Paul.
you.
Next item on the agenda, we have Dirk Rogers, Highway Superintendent.
Yeah, you and the sheriff are always putting me back. You need to eat your
Morning,
meat,
Dirk.
probably. How's everybody today?
Good morning.
We're just fine.
Sounds like you guys had a good time with the compression release braking ordinance.
Yeah.
We did.
Jeff.
Where were you?
I should have come up here.
You were watching.
I was watching and trying to do some road maintenance stuff, which is crazy. Just a couple comments on the discussion. There is a, there's a caveat in there for emergency vehicles. You can discuss, I understand what you're saying about the verbiage of the fourth paragraph. That's cannibalized out of two other already existing ordinances, and that showed up both times. And the other thing that's a little odd, and I heard you, I also got calls because people are like, well, now we got Jake brakes over the whole county.
Yeah, I had calls too.
It's almost, the application's a little different, but the process is very similar to either speed limits or weight limits, okay? You present a condition over the whole county. For instance, the speed limit. If you read the ordinance, it says the speed limit in Brown County is 55 miles an hour, except where the signs are, and then in the case of the speed zone ordinance, we actually say from this point to this point. We're not doing that with the signs. But it's the same thing, just like with spring load limits. Spring load limits are on all these roads, except where, they're enacted by where the signs are and where the signs aren't. So I understand how it reads, and those are the same comments that I got. But it's not uncommon to set the condition over the entire road system and then call out where the exceptions are, which is the exact same thing we're doing with the compression release braking ordinance.
So an individual out in the middle of the country,
Right.
halfway between Bath and Trent,
Okay.
with the 21 going two ways. So they could have asked us to put a braking
Right.
sign up.
Just like they ask you to put up speed limit signs or to
Yeah.
change speed limits. This is just the same thing. It's up to your discretion. We'll use a standardized sign, which Doug's comments about the proprietary verbiage we were using before is odd because I saw about 100 examples of signs that are using that verbiage, but we'll avoid it. A quick little background, which also came up, and much to everybody's chagrin, this is not a conspiracy against the taxpayers, where this first came up from the DOT, because they can't put the signs up without a county ordinance outside of a municipality anyway. Now, Warner's already got one within the municipality, and I believe Aberdeen does. I haven't looked real close at the sign. But that was the first time I ever heard about any of this since I've been back. We've had two non-enforceable signs up, one north of Bath, where there's a yellow sign that says no engine braking. It's not enforceable, but you hope that coming down there, if someone sees that, they won't hit the brake coming up to the Bath corner. And that's 10, 12 years ago, that sign's been there. I can't remember, there's one other location. So there's two spots. We have signs that are non-enforceable that are just like friendly warnings, don't use your engine compression brake here. So this isn't just completely somebody called and said, hey, we got a problem. And then it was energized recently on 281 coming into town. That's what the DOT called me about. And then subsequently also on the Hale Mile going over to the beef plant. So as we sit here right now, all I would consider as far as the county system goes, the only request that we would have to consider is the one on the Hale Mile coming up to the old highway, and then make the one north of Bath, put up a white sign and make it an enforceable situation. Outside of that, I don't have any other requests. And despite again what people think, I don't want to be doing a whole bunch of regulation. I mean, if we get requests, we can evaluate them just like you evaluate
It'll be hard to
speed limit.
enforce anyway.
Yeah, they're really hard to
You gotta be there when it happens.
Exactly. But you have to be there when you're speeding too, unless
Yeah,
you're going to
sure.
get into cameras or something, It's
Camera's not gonna show your compression.
That's true.
Will the
True.
commission then have to vote on the Hale Mile and the one north of Bath?
Oh, I don't know, I would assume you're gonna have to do some kind of acknowledgement, just like if I was gonna come in and request a speed limit change, which those are usually successful, so.
Okay. Just wondering.
No, it's entirely up to you guys, and like I said, I didn't, sit down with a bar napkin and a Sharpie and scratch out the ordinance. It's a cannibalization of two or three other ones that are already in effect, so.
Well, I know you have to be really careful with the words, but the way this reads to any common layperson is you would have to make the signage on all of the parts that are permissible. This makes it sound like everything is forbidden except for the signage that goes on the ones that you can do.
You think it's opposite of what it should be?
I do. If
Well-
you read the ends of 503 and 504,
And I don't read it that way.
You don't? See, when it says, "Such prohibition shall be applicable only to those streets, roads, alleys, easements, and right-of-ways established by vehicle operation in Brown County." That's everything. Then you go to the next section, and it says, "The prohibition shall forth hereby, or herein shall apply to any public road or highway in Brown County, and shall be designated as such by signage as approved by the Brown County Commissioners." So to me, that says that the commissioners are going to approve signage for the areas that you can use the Jake brakes,
No, that you can't.
and it doesn't say that, to me.
But the prohibition, the word prohibition
Yeah.
applies.
Right.
Wherever it's prohibited will be signed.
I'm not hung up on the verbiage, if we gotta, I mean,
Yeah.
seriously, if we need to change it to make
Yeah.
it
No,
more...
as long as we
legal.
all...
I think you're right about,
understanding
it. They're talking about the prohibition and
I've had some calls too, they're
504.
concerned about where you're gonna put them.
Because it just says where the prohibition will apply. It'll apply to all roads in Brown County that are marked with signs.
So then, like, the city is like one or whatever, they can put up their own sign and we don't have,
Right, Warner, I know, already has one up, it's sitting
Coming
out there
from
by
the,
the...
yeah, it does, coming from the east, I know.
It's
Aberdeen
within,
does.
but within the municipality.
yeah. So that's theirs, so we
Yep.
don't have to worry about it,
Yeah,
okay.
I caught.
Okay,
Okay.
I wouldn't do it.
thank you.
Just some comments, sorry I wasn't here at the heat of the
And
moment.
then, before I forget, Dirk, I've had a call about some of the livestock trucks dumping on our route by the
I
sale
did
barn
too.
and by the beef plant. Some of them, maybe should let the sale barn people know they should, maybe let the truckers know they shouldn't be doing that, or
They're leaving their gates open, or their
they're-
highways open.
they're dumping them.
And actually putting salt in some of them in order to then
Yeah.
to release.
So, maybe the sale barn can announce that those guys don't be dumping it out there in the highway.
You think that's common knowledge?
Go to the township road.
Yeah, get over on a township road. Okay, what
Yeah, you
actually
would
come
think
up
that'd
here
be common
for?
knowledge.
Remove structures from the
Common
NBIS,
sense.
accept Beal County culvert bid, and discuss load limits.
Okay, you guys are gonna love me here. I have, the other, was a couple weeks ago when I was in here, we took one bridge off of the bridge inventory, you know? Well, in my conversations with the DOT, we have 10, counting that one, so 9 more that are, they're either, I'll tell you about them as we go through them here quick, but they're either too short, this culvert spacing isn't correct so that they're no longer qualified to be on the bridge inventory, or we've just taken it out, there's nothing there now, and on paper, we're just trying to clean it up so that doesn't show up as being a structure on our,
Okay, thank
and I'll
you.
go through what these are. You guys want one of these?
Sure.
I like your safety tie, by the way. Okay, like I said, at max, I got 9. Each one of these, I got 1 delete resolution. However you want to do that is fine. I even created an awesome... Now, everybody really needed the south half of the county for this discussion, so I'm sure that'll cause some controversy that all these bridges are in the south half of the county. I don't know if you
We have a
guys
problem, what?
see that, it's really awesome. Okay, the first one I got on there,
So they pay all the taxes.
368, or 268A
Mhm.
and 268, they were just short little bridges, we took them out and there's pipe in there now, so they don't qualify to be
Okay.
bridges anymore. The next one is 21, that's just right over here, just a little bit north and east of Warner. We took that out right after I came back and there's nothing there now.
You're
East
upside
of
down,
Warner.
it's west of Warner.
That's right, I'm sorry, west of Warner, where the big black square is.
What section is that by?
It'd be on the south side of 22, just right off the road. I think there's the signs are there that the bridge is out.
Oh, okay, I know where it is now.
That's another thing, that they put up on that signing program, they put up the signs where a bridge is out, where the bridge has been out for 18 years. And I'm trying to figure, at some point, doesn't it just get to where there's just a dead end, it's not a, but it makes you driving down the road, it looks like you got a problem, oh, there's no bridge there. 151, that's the Ordway Bridge, we took that out, that's gone.
The one that you're talking about there west, where? That was the house movers moving an old house over that bridge when it went down.
Is that what it was?
He lost the house too.
Okay, that's the Ordway Bridge, the, 69.
It's over by Schley.
Oh, yeah, 69, that one's been closed quite a while, it had caved in too, we just went and pulled it out of the channel.
80's.
Oh, yeah.
That's over west of
That's-
Schley,
yeah,
east of Schley.
it's right at, yeah, right by
It
Schley.
hasn't been safe for years.
I want to take you guys, and you're going to love this, but I would really like to go show you 3 bridges. And one's by Hecla, one's down by the Hutterite Colony, and the other one's by Tacoma Park. So I don't know if it's a one-day deal or we try to do that in the same trip. It's not a quickie deal. They're just ones that I don't know what to do. They're pretty big, and eventually, I mean, part of me is like, no, we're not going to fix them. One's this one up by Hecla. It's north of the one we just put in. It's on a township road. This one is 2 miles north of Tacoma Park. I sent you some pictures of it over the gym. And the third one is this one. It's that yellow one that's between these 2 blue ones. It's going to be kind of expensive and it's in an obscure spot, but we're getting to the point where we're closing all these other bridges around it. So something where normally it's not something I would replace, but they're a little bit unique to that where I would value maybe a different view of looking at them. But well, I can get that lined up, but I don't know if that's a 2-day trip or, you know, one zip down one.
What's your workaround if you can't take that bridge? How many miles to get around it?
About 3. So, I mean, and I know some people have more challenges than that, but as you can see, there used to be 17 bridges and 16 sections down here. And we've closed a lot of them, we've taken some out, we put some pipe in.
Gotta leave them some, don't we?
At some point, even though when you sit and look at it at face value, it doesn't always look like it makes the most sense. And I rode out on some bridges over the years that Larry Mitchell put in where you drove on soybeans trying to get off the other end of the bridge. And at first I was like, well, that doesn't make any sense until you back up and look at the whole picture. Well, now if you don't have that there, how are they getting their stuff around? So, it's just something, you know, that I
I think
would...
Garden Prairie is
Are these bridges completely deteriorated? The ones we're talking about here, yeah, they've either been removed, they're closed, or we put pipe back in.
particular, Hecla and...
They're still open. This one's still open. I'd bring you some pictures, it's not good. And it's a 100-footer, that's the other thing about these, is they're kind of big. If these are 20 or 30-foot bridges, I wouldn't be near as concerned about replacing them.
But the state's inspected them and they're...
Oh, yeah, they're all,
holding up.
yeah, right. No, they're still open. The one north of Hecla's still open, and the one at Tacoma Park is... These aren't things where I'm like, oh my God, we're gonna have to do something this year. It's just when planning for them, you know. I'd be curious as to what you guys... Because you guys might look at it and go, what are you talking about? Why would you replace this, you know?
Yeah, but if it took 20 years to get the Hall Bridge in, how long would it take to get them in?
Well, it depends. The system's working a little better. We have to, you know, we've been putting in Brown County, we've been subsidizing our thing on top of what we get, and that's helped us because we're still getting a lot of funding. Now, we have to put a little bit of our money where our mouth is to do that.
But it's guaranteeing us getting some projects.
We're getting the projects done. And the other thing is with those new metal bridges like we've been putting in, we put in 2 now, those are a reasonably economical solution as well. So, but, you know, just so you know, we're talking like $1 million, even for this obscure one down here. Now, we can be patient and pay 20% of that. Because these, we wouldn't have to supplement as much because they're so bad, they would score higher, you know what I mean? So we might get away with putting $1 million bridge there, and we'd only have to pay 200, not only, I realize that, but we'd only be on the hook for the 20%. Let me get through the rest of the list here, sorry.
Bernie has a whole slew of them.
Yeah. Okay, 80 and 82, these are those 2 right here. And they're just, this is right south of Truck World, they just assume that
Yeah.
one's out, nobody wants to be able to drive through there anyway. 117, Oh, that's the one we took off last week.
Oh.
That's 3 miles over from Fernie right here, the yellow one.
And 2 south and 1...
78,
That's over, on Mud Creek, isn't it?
Yeah.
South?
Yeah.
I think. Oh yeah, that's right there. That's another one we just, the culverts don't meet the requirements anymore. And 118 right north of Fernie, same story. We tore
Same
out the
thing.
bridge and put big pipe in there, and what happens is the pipe have to be no further apart than half the diameter of the smallest pipe in the series. So if you put 5-foot pipe in, they can't be any more than 2.5 feet apart. What happens sometimes when we take out those old bridges and you got the concrete back walls in there, you're going to spend a week pounding on that to get it out of there, so we'll just take out one side and you end up having to space them out a little more to make it fit into the space, and that's why they go off. But we've got, even with these 10 gone, we'll still have 131 bridges, and I just can't imagine that we're going to get to the point where we're going to go, damn it, we should have left that bridge on the inventory because we can't use federal money on it now, you know, because most of these we didn't even put anything back, you know. So anyway, there's 9 resolutions, one for each bridge, and however you guys want to do that, I'd recommend that we took them off the inventory.
Will they accept one resolution?
They will. I mean, I could, if you would like, I can,
No, I can do that.
okay, but they will accept one from multiple.
Okay.
So for the most part, no neighbors right by them, nobody's come to you with concern of what's the future holds for this bridge. We're not gonna have 20 people in here next week saying, I can't believe you're taking that.
No,
Because they're all mostly broken anyway.
Right, so let's just go over the list quick again. Just
No, you
that-
don't
No, I know, but I won't talk as much as I did that time. The first two on the list have culverts in there. They're still doing
Gotcha.
what they do. 21, there's nothing. 151's the Ordway Bridge, the locals wanted that one gone. 69 had fallen in the river, we pulled that one out. 80 and 82 have been closed for a long time. That's one south of Truck World and one south of Schleiz. 117 is functioning, we took that out and put pipe back in. 78 has got pipe in it, it's still functioning, and 118 has pipe in it. So
So the first
nothing is
two-
really changing here at all.
First 2, last 3 just got replaced with pipes or culverts.
Correct.
Okay. The other ones are
The 4 in the
gone.
middle, or there's physically, if you drive, well, 80 and 82, the bridges are still there, but we'll be taking them out pretty soon.
Okay.
And 69, there's nothing there. 151, there's nothing there.
Okay, thank you.
I'll move the resolution to remove these bridges from the...
Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Kepler to approve the resolution to remove these bridges. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Like to recommend we accept the Beetle County culvert bid. So we get all our culverts, steel bridges, aluminum box culverts, all that stuff comes from Cutting Edges.
Second.
I did.
Moved by Kepler, second by Hanson to approve the Heron Culvert bid.
And I would like to recommend we put on load limits on next
So we gotta
Monday.
vote on this first.
Oh, yeah.
I guess we probably need to clarify, it's True North Steel now, right?
Yeah, I said Heron Tank and Culvert, sorry.
True North Steel to accept the culvert bid. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And then I want to put load limits on Monday. I'd recommend that we do, the 19th. Is that what that is?
Yep.
Edmonds and Spink County will both be going on next Monday. At least that's the last time I talked to them. Hyde County and Flock County are already on today. And I haven't heard about our friends to the east yet, so.
I'll move it.
Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Hanson to put the load limits on March 19th. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Anything else for us, Jerry?
Nope. I don't think so. We're crushing right now, so we'll have some overtime with those guys. And we're hauling from a gravel pit east of Britain into Hecla. So, I mean, if you get any comments that we're up there, and I'm trying to put so much gravel in the Hecla shop that there's no room for garbage anymore, but I don't know if that'll work or not.
Depends on how you slope it.
Good for you.
Any couple acres we can buy up there for
I
that?
tell you what.
Anything new on that?
No,
Okay.
I haven't been looking because it doesn't seem to be immediate problem since they pushed the
Moved it to the back?
dumpsters back.
Okay.
I'm the only one that's crabby about it now, so I say when Darryl retires, I say we just turn the shop over to the highway, or over to the landfill, and they can have a dump up there, and we'll we'll go a different direction.
Based on somewhere else.
Thank you, Dirk.
You bet, have a good day, thank you.
Thanks, Dirk.
Gary has some interviews at 10:15. Gary, you have a few things for us to do?
Yeah, just a couple of quick things. I'll pass around the bald record search sheet to see if that kind of fits what you were looking for the check-in, check-out process for the records downstairs. Periodically, I get comments made that there was things in the old policy manuals that maybe aren't in the new policy manuals. I don't know why or why not. That may have happened at the time, but one of the questions that came up was during this weather emergency, you know, we had people that were asking, can we put in an option to work versus taking the vacation sick? People took vacation and then they thought they should get a half day paid back. We have staff that comes in at 10 or 11 at night, so they're not 1 or 2 hours versus the 4 hours that they're given per the policy. We have people that HD that's working from home. Maintenance said there used to be things in there that paid their part-timers half the time. So those are some of the issues that were brought up during the weather emergency, and I don't know exactly how you want to move forward with that down the line, but I just wanted to let you know what was happening.
I remember when Max and I and Kim Dorset, who was state's attorney at the time, the book was being rewritten, and I know that was a big, it was a big issue. You know, basically, I just think we just ought to pay them for hours worked, and, you know, it gets to be a mess. Who do you say no, who do you say yes to? If you make it to work, you get paid, you don't get, I don't know.
Yeah,
My thought.
Maybe that's why the courthouse doesn't close very often.
Probably. Boy, we fight it. I mean, it was a big issue.
Not
Well,
worth
the
that.
city doesn't close either. In fact, their policy is basically that they'll even go pick people up if needed, so.
The city doesn't close?
No.
So maybe that's a discussion we need to look at down the road.
I think
So
so.
think about that a little more, but I just wanted to bring up the issues before I left and.
I knew when he called it, there'd be some issues, there is every time.
Yep.
Mhm.
Well, and I'd like to add to that list, we got an email from the employee that was stating they had worked 10 hours on New Year's Day, and they're normally only 8-hour shifts, and in the policy manual here, it says an employee required to work on a paid holiday observed by the county will receive regular pay plus time and 1/2 hours for hours worked on the holiday. So technically, they should have gotten 10 hours of the 2.5, because that was the hours worked, but the way we've always done it is they only get 8. So just add that to our list, because I think maybe we either need to have a committee, or, you know, we need to address some of these things just so everybody's on the same page and doing it the same way.
I think we need to discuss it probably sometime here before budget, you know, and get it straightened out among all of us. There's a lot of payroll things that should be reviewed and looked at, but I think we need to get our heads
Well,
straight how we
everybody
want to
has
handle it.
a listing or an employee that thinks they have an issue. I guess they need to bring it forth and we'll review it.
So maybe keep a bullet point of all
Yeah.
that when we get through equalization. I guess I would offer if there's a couple hours we can set aside on a Tuesday. I know that
Yep.
it gets really tedious and long, and it's a lot of specifics, but just have a
It
handful
needs to be taken care of
Yeah.
properly.
Worth
Yeah.
study again, with just focused on that.
Right.
Sounds
And then
good.
bring those
Thank
to
you.
everybody.
All
Yeah,
right, thank
okay,
you.
got it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Gary.
You want me to go down the list?
Can we take a 2-minute break?
We will have a short intermission.
You can keep going, but I'm thinking.
Okay. Okay, after our short intermission, we are back in session. Max, you want to go through your items?
3 minutes for March 6th.
Move.
Second. Oh, you better
Bye-bye.
second, because I was gone.
Yeah, I'll second.
Moved by second by Ask, approve the minutes, March 6th, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Claims. I will,
Oh,
go ahead.
no,
I will motion to approve them with the exception of the one that we pulled here. I really appreciate when folks are going digital as much as they can, and it seems like we're wasting quite a bit on some of the, the hardcover when we have digital options, so I guess I would just throw that out there.
I'll agree with her.
I'll
So-
just put without voucher an amount of $1733.34.
So you made the motion?
Yes.
I'll second it.
Motion by Sutton, second by
No,
Hanson.
Kipling.
I'm sorry, Kipling, and second by Hanson, to approve the claims except for the, is it the number on it, or
Designated.
designated amount of $1733.34. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Do they'll find it somewhere else, I'm sure.
What do you got?
The one that Derek brought up.
I don't know if that's gonna be for discussion down the road.
That's something we
Okay,
have
Max.
to deal with today.
Okay,
I don't
HR
think so.
report. Okay.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Fishback, second by Kipling, to approve the HR report. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Sheriff's report for February.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Kipling, to approve the sheriff's report for February. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Abatement.
Second.
Moved by Kipling, second by Sutton, to approve the abatement. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Auditor's report of account.
Second.
Moved by Fishback, second by Hanson, to approve the auditor's report. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
There were 2 lease agreements.
Move them.
Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Fishback, to approve the lease agreements. All in favor?
Aye.
Second? I'm opposed? Mixed up here.
And the next step.
Motion carries.
Claim assignment.
Move.
Second. Moved by Hanson, second by Fishback, to approve the claims assignment. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Authorized advertising bid for the Richmond Lake Youth Camp Lodge roof project. And the specs were in the packet.
I'll move it.
Second.
Moved by Hanson, second by Kipling, to approve the bid for the Richmond Boys Camp.
Youth camp.
The lodge.
Camp.
Lodge. Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Approve or authorize advertising the bid for the chemical for Wheaton Pest for 18.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Fishback, second by Hanson, for the bid for weed and pest. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And that is all I have.
Regards to that thing from the fair, is that something that will be on the
I
agenda?
can put it on the agenda. I'll need a copy.
You want a copy? Here.
No, my copy's in the packet, so I'll put it
I don't
on
know
the
any other
agenda.
information, that's why I don't know that. We can discuss it now, so I didn't just put it on the agenda for next
Yep.
week.
Okay.
Okay? Anything else to come before the commission this morning?
Mr. Chair, I have a question. The bottom line on our agenda, any other matters to come before the commission, what exactly does that mean?
Well, I guess it's, as long as it's, and Chris could probably answer that, as long as it's not personal, legal, or contracts, I think it can be talked about in open meeting.
I think any other matters to come before the commission means absolutely anything. I think if you're gonna have a specific vote on it, it needs to be on the agenda, so.
Even something you've talked about in the past, if it's going to be voted on that day, put it on the agenda.
See,
So we can discuss anything else.
you can discuss anything you want.
So it's only for discussion, not action?
Should I add for discussion?
Well, since it...
I would, just
since-
to remind us.
Any other discussion matters to come before the commission?
Because if you can't act on them, why have it on there? That's
So it's
my...
up to you, either,
Maybe any other discussion to come before the commission.
Any other matters to come before the commission for discussion?
Yeah, that sounds good.
That
Oh,
way...
my gosh.
Like it.
Well, that way...
Can you vote on that?
That
If
way...
you do it in a year, we'll forget this and we'll...
Well, because it makes it sound like
You know, whenever you write, they're
you
not
can
gonna
act on
action.
anything,
It does.
For sure.
because that's the way I read it. Any other matters, you should be able to act on, the way I read it now.
okay.
Thank you.
So for discussion only.
Well, I'll add for discussion.
You want
We
it?
want to make sure we highlight that.
Put it involved in italics, no.
I would ask for an executive session on 2 issues. It's proposed or pending litigation, one on ag land assessment and one on developer's agreement with the D-Fly.
I'll move it.
Motion by Sutton,
Second.
second by Ants, to go into exec and talk about, what, legal and contracts?
Yeah, that's fair.
We are out of exec, and no action as a result of exec.
Okay, are we done?
Do we have anything else before the Brown County Commission this morning?
Move adjournment.
Second.
Moved by Kipling, second by Sutton to adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.
Okay, who made the motion?
Can't
Kipling,
find any friends
Sutton,
to come join our table.
No action
No
resulted
one
there.
seen there with
It was
me.
just Chris White.
I might have two empty chairs.
Doug?
And